this is Cindy from Stamped with Aloha. Welcome to a series of videos where I'm going to teach you the alternative projects I designed using the August 2021 paper pumpkin kit called the Hope Box. So let's go ahead and get started with project number one. The first thing that I'm going to do is fold my card base in half, and then I always like to use a bone folder so that it can have a nice clean fold. The next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to take this piece here, this is basic white, 3.5 by 4 3/4, and I'm going to place this in this beautiful embossing folder called Time Worn Type. I think I have that right. Anyway, I love this embossing folder because it has this really weathered pattern, and then you can see that there's little words in there as well. So you can kind of move it around and decide which pattern you want on there, but it's really cool. All right, so you're gonna run this through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and when you are done, you're going to have a piece that looks like this. Isn't that pretty? You can see it. All right, so then I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna flip it over, I'm gonna get out my adhesive, and I'm gonna add adhesive to the back. And then I'm going to glue this to this pool party piece that's cut at 4 by 5 1/4 inches. All right, now there's two different ways that you could work with this piece. Now, if you were gonna make a birthday card or something celebratory, then you could glue this piece on there like that, and then you would put a bright sentiment on there and it would be a bright, cheerful card. But like I said, I wanted this to be a really elegant card because this is going to be for a sympathy card. And so I just loved how beautiful this looked when you turn this upside down and you have this look to it. Now the white of this is more of a creamy white, so I like the contrast between this creamy white and then the bright white of our basic white cardstock. And so that's why I chose to put it on this card base. There is a card base that comes in the paper pumpkin kit that you could use. However, it does have a design on it, so if you were to use that one, you would just have to cut the pool party base a little bit larger so it would cover up what's stamped on that card base. All right, so now we have this detailed piece here. How are we gonna glue that on there? Well, we could pick this up and use our liquid glue and just lightly dab it on there, but that would probably take forever. So when you're working with an intricate piece like this, I'm gonna show you a great way to adhere this. So I'm going to be using a silicone mat, and then I'm gonna take my glue, and I'm just going to make a little puddle of glue. All right, and then I'm gonna place this on here. I'm gonna use a sponge, and I'm gonna pick up the glue, and then I'm just going to sponge it on the back of this piece. Okay, now that I've added a layer of glue on there, I'm gonna go ahead and lift this off, and then I'm going to bring this around, and then I'm going to place this right on the front of my card. Okay, now this layer here hasn't been glued down yet, and I want to give this some height, so I'm going to flip this over and we're going to add some dimensionals. So just like that, the dimensionals have magically appeared. I've already removed the backing, and now this is ready to be adhered to the front of the card. So now this layer is here and we're ready to do some stamping. Now you could totally make this card and choose one of the sentiments that come in this kit. You could say hope, you could say just a note of hope, where there's faith, miracles happen. So there's a lot of things in this set that would fit on the front of this card, but I'm gonna go ahead and use my little heart punch, and then I'm going to be stamping with Pool Party. And then the stamp set I'm going to use is one that is a part of our celebration that's happening right now. So this is a level 2 celebration set called Delicate Dahlias, and I'll be using this Sending Heartfelt Sympathy. So I'm going to ink up the stamp and then stamp that sentiment right in the middle of the heart. Then I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to add some dimensionals. Take off the backing, and then I'm going to mount this right here. Next, I'm going to take this little rainbow butterfly from the paper pumpkin kit, and then I'm going to add a glue dot behind it. So I'm going to place it right here on the top of the heart on the right side. And then to finish off this card, I'm just going to embellish it with a jewel rhinestone. So I'm going to pick up a rhinestone, and I'm going to place a rhinestone right here. Okay, and this card is done. So before I close out this video, I just want to give you a quick tip. So when I glued down the laser piece, I wasn't really paying attention to the positioning of it, and it's really important that you position it within the edges of the card base. So you can see that on the top here, I went over just the tiniest little bit. Now, if I use a clear envelope, that's not going to be a problem at all. But if I use a regular envelope, then this piece right here is going to get bent. And so in order to protect it, there's a couple things you could do. You could trim it. You could just cut off that little piece. Or just be careful with the placement on that piece. And here's another sample here. Just bring it down a little bit to make sure that it's within the card base, and that way it'll stay, it won't get bent, and it'll be nice and sturdy. So I wanted to remind you that this was done in real subtle colors. I purposely flipped it around because I wanted to make a sympathy card. But like I said before, you could turn this around to the bright side, change the sentiment, and you could have the exact same card, but with a more bolder and more cheerful message. Well, I hope that you enjoyed learning how to make project number 1 in this series, and be sure to check out my next video and see the other projects that I made with the August 2021 Hope Box. I look forward to stamping with you again soon. Aloha!